Hello and welcome to the Large Blast podcast. Stoney here. We're going to do things a little bit differently on today's show, and I know that change fears and frightens some of you, but do not fret. We've got a red hot interview with James Workshop, aka Steve Conlin, on today's show. We'll be back with our usual shenanigans next time, but for now join me, Welshie and Matt, in this exclusive LBP interview with James Workshop. Busy listener, because the CEO is coming. That's right, we've got the Willy Wonka of Warhammer. It's Steve Conlin, aka James Workshop. How you doing, Steve?
That was maybe the best intro I've had so far.
Well, we're the best podcast you've been on so far. So
the only problem is I got my name wrong, I think.
Oh, what? Oh, bollocks. Immediately got it wrong. Well, thanks for joining us, coming on the show here today.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
We like to get things kicked off a little bit by just talking to you a little about your Warhammer journey, because we assumed that you're into Warhammer and that I've listened to you on another podcast recently, but so I know that you are, but maybe you could tell the listeners of our show how you got into Warhammer and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, I've been into Warhammer since I was a kid. Like, I think like a lot of people, kid and teenager, big into Warhammer. Lapse, come back when you have disposable income again. But yeah, I had a huge. I've done more boasting about how many models I had this week than I have in a while. But yeah, I had a massive like 10,000 point undead army.
Oh, brilliant!
Back when Clown Nagash was a thing. And I'm still bitter about them splitting it up into Vampire Counts and Tomb Kings, still to this day.
We're big Tomb Kings fans, though, so you're on dangerous grounds there.
Yeah. Well, everyone is a big Tomb Kings fan, and I personally really like the Vampire Counts, or the new name for them.
Oh, the Oshiyot Bone Reapers. Is that right?
Them. Yes, yeah. It's a really cool name, but it's not one that I can ever remember.
Yes.
So it's a nice little surprise every time someone reminds me.
At Warhammer World with them, isn't there? If you guys,
yeah,
it's a great diorama with the full tomb and these weird boxes on like skeleton legs. They're just kind of chests on skeleton legs.
Yeah,
it's great stuff.
I love that. I love that stuff. But yeah,
Steve, did you say you had an army, or do you still have that army?
I think it is currently in a chest of assorted nerd things, like somewhere in my dad's loft or something like that.
You started with those. What are you playing these days, or do you get much chance to play?
So more time kind of broke me in terms of the big scale stuff, because I picked up more time and absolutely fell in love with it, and I've never really wanted to do anything but like the small scale skirmishes since.
Mm-hmm. Oh, great.
I've got an Uruk, Warcry Warband. I've got a little Slaneshi kill team, but that's my jam, man. Yeah. Little things.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
she's just been getting into that, haven't you? So
kill teams really swept me up. There's something great about being able to just convert 6 models up and paint them in a month-long period and crack them out and put them on the table. That isn't 3,000 points of army, you know.
Yeah, I can see the appeal in terms of like it being really satisfying to paint, to put together and paint like 300 models and sit in front of it and be like, I did this
an achievement.
Yeah. How do we feel about swearing on that?
You swear away.
I did this absolute bastard of a job, and I've done this thing. But for me personally, I like taking lots of time with one model, and then number 2 model until I have a whole 5 models.
Have you ever played a character that there's a model of that you could like be like, oh, I've been the voice of this guy?
Yeah, I mean, I was Ghazghkull.
Oh, cool.
Right at the time when the Ghazghkull model came out. So that was
brilliant.
That was very cool, because I think it was like we did the recording, and then the next day, here I am.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's a great model. Great model.
It's so good. It's so good.
Was there like a YouTube advert, a Warhammer advert just before the model came out, or?
No, I did a Saga of the Beast.
Oh, right. Okay.
Older drama. And I was
Okay.
Ghazghkull,
Okay.
stomping around, speaking high Gothic in an orky voice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe a
I've
bit
always
too much
questioned
fun.
that. Yeah.
You must be
What
very
else? I think
excited by
there was
this.
Shrike that came with a little. That he has a model.
Ah,
there he is.
Oh,
we
no
were
way.
using him last
My
night.
chapter
Oh
master.
no way!
Yeah, scored me 3
I blew
victory
him up.
points just
Blew him up.
last evening. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't think there is a Joseph Bugman model, is there?
They do.
There
They
used to be
release kind of.
Bugmans. Yeah.
They do commemorative ones. There's one with him with a big pint glass, I think, with the 6X on it.
Is that
Is
like
that
the
him?
grandson?
Oh, okay.
Don't know.
Oh, blimey.
I'm the voice of both.
Yeah, it's like the White Dwarf where they do random special figures every now and again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's about it. I was techless, but I was God techless rather than old techless. So I don't think I do have I don't think that does that count?
Yeah, I mean it counts.
Cow
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I think you can put that
I
one
think
on the
it counts.
CV. I reckon that counts for sure. You know.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's about it for like the big parts. I think in terms of like who gets a model. Obviously, there's a lot of guardsman models, and presumably I was one of them at some point.
Yeah. That's amazing though to when you were younger to collect those armies and be in the Warhammer orbit, and now eventually it's kind of brought you back in professionally as well as a hobby.
I mean, it wasn't like voice acting is a weird thing because obviously there's a bit of natural talent goes into it, and the fact that I was doing stage acting for years and years definitely helps. But really, if I had to be very honest, most of my voice acting training comes from mimicking the voices on the computer games. Like I was there with everyone else, screaming like about the oh god, what's the line from Dawn of War?
Oh, I remember all the Dawn of War ones. There was
there you go.
Carry a big gun, tread softly and carry a big gun.
That's
and
the one. The voices. But yes, that was me, and the only difference is that I didn't stop doing it. And then eventually someone else heard it and was like, "Oh, you're pretty good at that." I was like, "Yeah, actually I am."
So this is where we ask you some
Mastermind
quick fire
music.
questions to try to get you to sort of slip up maybe and to reveal some secrets about Black Library or something in the quick fire nature of the questions that are coming at you.
Excellent. I'm going to be the most popular person in the office. Go.
Ready, Steve?
Yeah.
Ready, cool. Okay. Least favorite 40k faction?
Eldar,
Blood Angels or Dark Angels?
Dark Angels.
Favorite Primarch?
Does Horus count?
I think he
Yes.
does. He's a Primarch. Yeah.
Yeah. Would James Workshop beat Henry Cavill in a fight?
Already did. That's how I got the job.
Mordheim or Necromunda?
More time. Come on.
Is the Emperor truly a god?
The Emperor is.
Unfortunately, we had to remove this part of the show because Steve revealed
Information redacted.
and it was way too saucy to broadcast.
That'll annoy
right.
people.
Oh, yeah. That's the blue ballsing of the century right there.
That's the YouTube short section anyway.
Yeah. Perfect. Character you'd most like to voice?
Conrad von Casting.
Have you recorded anything for the Lion?
No. And you know that I'm telling the truth because if I had, I wouldn't even be able to say no.
Character you'd most like to go for a drink with?
Hamilcar Bear Eater. That's an easy one because I would be drinking with myself.
Best Xenos impression?
Or that I can do.
Yeah.
That's not fair. Well, I can do a really good orc.
Yeah.
The best one, the most important one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the biggest boss.
I want to pick up just on the swiftest of your answers there.
Mm.
The hatred for Eldar was was
Oh, they're
visceral.
shit.
It was real.
Yeah.
We also hate Eldar.
Everyone
Yeah.
hates Eldar.
Why?
It makes no sense. So
Okay.
if you look at, like, for instance, Space Marines, right? You understand why some of the Space Marines didn't look at what was on offer on the bad side and go,
Yeah.
I see where you're coming from, but no. But if you look at the Eldar versus the Dark Eldar, why would you ever want to be on the Eldar side? Chains, cool shoulder pads, whips, nipple rings.
Yeah.
They have all the fun with seemingly no downside.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Well, the traditional Elder, what they've just got like gemstones and they're loads of bones and random
Stupid
shit like that.
conical
No, who
dunce
cares about
hats.
that?
Just
Yeah.
at this point, you're just being like a kind of like a stubborn nerd. Like,
You made the wrong choice.
yeah, absolutely. And you're just
So-
unwilling to admit that you regret not, like, pulling on the fishnets.
Yeah. What do you think of elves in, like, the fantasy setting? Do you
That's slightly different.
is it
isn't
different? Okay.
That's slightly different. They have a reason for huddling around like that, the maelstrom, because we all know what happens if you don't. So yeah, that kind of more understandable, but there's absolutely nothing to be gained from not hopping on one of those awesome hover bike slash. Wouldn't you even if you were an Eldar, wouldn't you just take the bike?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you be like, yeah,
100%.
this, I'm going to paint it white, but like, I'm not going to ride the cool, like.
Well, that's half the thing. It's like I've got to. What will I not put on the badass leather jackets and shades and just keep walking? Like, what am I going to do? Like, I'll be a screaming banshee. Like, bollocks to that. It's time to jump on the bike and cruise off into the distance. You know, it's like, you've already fucked your world anyway. You might as well all shag about it. You know, so why not? You know,
exactly. Dance like the world is ending because it did.
Yeah.
It has. Yeah. Well, that is a very fair point. Well,
yeah, you could tell I've thought way too much about it. Yeah.
Oh, we've read some fan fiction on this show.
I smoke weed, eat pussy every day.
Obviously, we want to talk to you a little bit about the James Workshop character as well, and like where he's come from and how they've become this. Like the Willy Wonka of, I think is the best way to describe him of Games Workshop. I imagine you skipping around GW, like pouring a big vat of molten plastic into some molds and handing out box sets to kids, rolling dice, all the rest of it.
Kicking the goblins.
Exactly, kicking the goblins out. Yeah.
A whim, I think, is the honest answer. The first I heard of it, someone walked in on a recording I was doing for something else. And kind of shuffled up beside me and said, "We have this idea. Do you want to do it?" And I said, "Sure, I guess." And then they told me how much it paid, and I was like, "I definitely." Ignore my previous response. Yes.
Yeah. That's always the way. Whenever there's a question why, it's nearly always money is the answer.
Which I think is how they knew that I was right for the role. But yeah,
character acting.
Exactly. It was barely a stretch.
I'm very method. You're going to have to pay me more than that.
And then like. I think the character is slightly different now than it was a few years ago. Like, we kind of know who he is, so we can play with it a bit more. But mostly, we just kind of get in the room and have a laugh. And as long as we end up saying occasionally a couple of lines from the original script, we get away with it.
Oh, really?
There's a lot of ad-libbing in that script. Though. That's great.
There's a team around me who are very good at like keeping me on track. But it is very much they kind of just throw me in a hamster wheel until something good comes out. And if the room laughs, we keep it. If the room kind of looks at each other nervously, we don't. But yeah, Team effort is what I'm saying
it,
in a roundabout way.
It is brilliant, Steve. I remember the first time, the very first, I mean, it's like 3 years ago, three and a half years ago. It was really exhilarating, the first one, but particularly the Leagues of Votan, when that
that's everyone's favorite. Yeah,
it was brilliant. It was so out of the blue. Obviously there was a lot of talk about the Leagues of Votan, and then that video came out, and it was brilliant. How much, I mean, they must have just given you a call and just said that you needed to come in. I mean, there must have not been much prep for it, or
I think they called me on the Friday, and they called me on the Thursday, and we were filming on the Monday, and then I was out by the end of the week. So it was something like that. It was something crazy, where they were still, that it had to be quick because it was a response sort of thing. Again, they kind of just they let me go, and a very small amount of me laughing at the fans actually made it into the final cut.
It was that sense that you could tell that you've been involved in Warhammer for a long time, that you were used to this idea of codex creep and things, and knew that the fan base would understand that as a kind of running joke. Was really clear that it wasn't taking the piss so much as feeling our pain. I think was more
that's definitely what the vibe was in the room. Of like, let's show them we understand. Obviously James can't apologize, but
we thought it might be funny if they'd got you to record the apology like the day after they'd made the rule set, just to, like months ago or whatever. Just like, oh, we got this
waiting
on back
for
release or whatever,
backlash.
Scheduled release on YouTube or whatever. But,
no, it was breakneck. Yeah.
Wow.
So do you have many fan interactions? Do people recognize you often? It's like, hey, James Workshop, and get you take pictures, things like that.
I've only ever been recognized once, like on the street, which actually was like I've been recognized. I've been recognized for other much smaller stuff more often than I've been recognized for James, which is weird. Like, and I think that's just complete like luck, or not, or chance or whatever. But yeah, I mean, if I'm walking through Bugman's or whatever, or the gaming hall because I'm there filming or recording something, I had the eerie. It's become an eerie thing where I will walk in, and after about half a second, the room will go quiet. As I walk past, I will hear, "That's James Works. That is James."
Brilliant.
Which I think I prefer to people coming up and saying hello. I like that,
Right.
like that kind of
The hushed whispers.
Yeah, the Darth Vader-esque entrance into every room.
It's only a fan base of Warhammer nerdy failing at social interactions for most of their adult lives could respond like that, rather than a kind of Beatles-esque mob.
Well, I was reading on it's listed on your Twitter that you're a wrestler. Do you do wrestling?
I do. I am a professional wrestler. Yeah.
No way. That's awesome.
I started training for it in the lockdown, and
right.
I was due to debut this year. So yeah, broke my wrist, so it's delayed. But yes, as soon as this thing comes off, I'll have a lot more news to share.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So have you got does this mean James, are you going to take the James Workshop character to the WWE? You're going to you're going to be calling out orcs and stuff like that?
I have a sneaking suspicion I might get slightly told off if I do. Maybe just a tiny inkling that might not go down very well. No, I know. I just like hitting people, and that sounds terrible. It sounds really bad, but I went along thinking, I'll give it a go, see if I like it. fully expecting to be a real pansy and like just kind of weep openly the first time I got hurt, and it turns out I'm the opposite. I love it.
Yeah,
So that's
cool.
that's I think the best lockdown project I've heard of. That's amazing. Good on you. Were you
day after day not going outside, just doing burpees in the living room.
Yeah,
it sucked, but yeah.
So were you kind of into health and fitness and stuff before, or was this like a
God,
kind of
no,
was it sort of a life
absolutely
change
not.
altogether kind of thing?
Yeah, I dragged my poor body kicking and screaming to the gym. I am not a natural athlete at all. I was like 280 pounds when I started training. I mean, you can see like in those early James Workshop videos that like there's a lot going on under that suit. and yeah.
Cool.
The CEO thing, right? You know, Bezos.
Yeah. Next stop, space.
Going back to you got into acting, and that's how that's
yeah. Since I was a kid,
right.
I caught the bug, and after that, there was just no point even trying anything else because I couldn't concentrate on it. And then lots and lots of Shakespeare, lots and lots of stage stuff, a bit of like voiceover stuff, but not really. It was all kind of like the very traditional acting-y things. And then I answered the casting call for like we want someone who can do big shouts and loud screams, and I didn't even know it was Games Workshop until I got there and was like, oh cool. Well, actually, I can do all these voices. Turns out, completely by accident. Yeah, and that was that.
That's
awesome.
That's really interesting that you didn't know it was the company.
I know. I mean, I like when they told me where to go, I was like, I know that address. I know that street.
Yeah.
And then like they got me down to HQ. I think the very first thing I did, which was like sort of an audition, but not really, because they ended up putting it out. I think it was called Slaughter's End, and I can't remember who I was playing, but the other guy was Angron, and it was just an hour and a half of screaming. Really just there was supposed to be narration of the fights happening in between, but for us we were just screaming.
Well, I was gonna ask you a bit about that, because I listened to a collection of audio books with you on it, like preparation for the show, and like how much of the like the stuff you record is just you making fight noises, like yeah, because like and do they like keep a stock? Do they make you do the fight noises each time, or is it like the Wilhelm scream or whatever, where they just record a stock cassette and stick them over the?
So that's an interesting question. So the like industry term for all those assorted noises is wilds. And traditionally you will do the script and then you will record all the wilds for all over the script at the end, just so that you don't ruin your voice before you have to kind of give the emotional monologue at the end. You're like croaking through it because you got decapitated 3 times earlier. And yeah, you do it fresh every time. It got to a point where poor Kylie, the sound engineer, would see me in the canteen and just her face would drop, because she would know that for the next 5-6 hours she was going to be sitting there like holding the headphones away from her ears, like trying not to be re-traumatized by me, just Beastman just braying at her down the microphone, trying to break the condenser on the mic. But
that's really interesting. That's the way around they record it.
And we get real finicky about it too. Like I know exactly how I want it to sound like getting punched in the gut is different. It sounds different to getting punched in the back, that sort of thing.
I guess your wrestling experience must be great for this is it Foley work for the wilds?
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But even before the wrestling, like I remember doing a bunch of takes of a particular thing because I think I was climbing a ladder and I was kicking someone off my leg for something, and I just remember it just being like, it doesn't sound like that. It sounds like I'm kind of doing, I don't know, like a karate, something else, karate kick or something. So I was kind of really trying to, like, in the booth, like trying to like get the rungs on the rings of the ladder in my hands, and I was like kicking downwards. And I was like, yeah, okay, I'm starting to get it. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so it's kind of like almost its own kind of voice acting is doing the noises and stuff, I guess. Yeah. I guess they don't have to do that in the Archers or whatever, do they? I mean, it's just picking up big things of milk or whatever.
No, the Archers are a famously lazy production.
Well,
Let's heard it here first.
It's not even a joke. They barely do any work over there.
Hey, wash your mouth out.
When you do the recordings, how much interaction do you have with the other actors?
I mean, as much as we can.
Okay.
We got a booth. Houses about like 6 people at a push. So if you've got like kind of a one-on-one scene, you can stand right in front of the person and really like act off them, and it's great and it feels brilliant. I mean, obviously the narration is different. I'm a fan of the IP and stuff, but I'm not going to sit there and listen to you do 3 takes of the narration. I am going for a Pepsi Max.
How much interaction do you have with the authors? I mean, how much input do they have with the way that you act characters that haven't been acted before?
It depends. Some of them like to come down, especially for like new stuff like that, where it's like it's been their job to kind of conceptualize it. They'll come down and they'll be like, yeah, we were really thinking about this. More often than not, the actor usually gets to decide in the moment, and mostly because they'll absorb all of the input and then they'll go, okay, I'm gonna do this. Usually, like, because when you're feeling it in the moment and you're doing it and it's all happening and all the sparks are going off, like you end up, you're like, yeah, that's it. That's it. Like, and it's kind of like half of what they wanted originally and half of this new other thing that kind of is like kind of spontaneously appears. It's a genuinely creative, like really creative environment, and like process and stuff. It's really good. It's loads of fun, and I feel like we end up making like some quite like really good things.
Yeah, I mean, we all love listening to it all, like painting. I mean, that's how you get through the evening, listening to it's mindfulness, I call it. When you've come up with a character for the first time, I often wonder, especially people that return to books, like it's been 3 years since Dan Abnett writes the next book. Is it easy to drop back into a voice? Do you have to go back and spend time listening to a voice you did for a character sometimes, to do it again?
Because especially if I think just by chance I've had it in with me doing it, where quite often I'll do a character, they'll cast me as a character who's not really in it. They've got like a few lines here and there, and then that character will appear again in something else, like fully, and I'll be like, well, I don't remember doing this. I'm sure I really cared about it at the time, but it's been 2 years and I don't remember the guy's name. So yeah, you'll go back and you'll be like, oh, is that the choice I made? Really? Okay, fine.
I made him Irish. I don't remember that.
Are you sure that's me? Yeah, okay, fine.
Amazing.
But I mean, for some stuff, like I mean, like the Hamilcar, I don't have to remember what Hamilcar sounds like.
Right.
Yeah, that just comes.
Does it ever come out when you're drunk? If you start drinking, do you slip into any accents? Because I do it when I talk to Australians.
Yeah.
Yeah. The orc voice, partly because if you're out drinking, that's the voice that everyone wants to hear anyway. So
Right,
quite often you get like poked in the gut poked in the ribs until you come out with like some sort of horrible orc. But
Are your friends quite into Warhammer and stuff? Do they make you do voices and stuff all the time, or are you quite lucky as in they don't know about it so much?
Big half and half. Half of them, yes, and the other half, mercifully, no. The other half just want me to shut up about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always healthy to have a good split.
Yeah.
Mhm.
For the new animations like the Hammer and Bolter,
Yeah.
do you when you're recording those, do you see the animation, or is there any?
Yeah, a little bit.
Right.
So most of them are done remotely. So I'll be in this room, kind of not dissimilar to this, and they've got all sorts of like fancy programs and stuff. So they'll be like, here's the concept, very basic outline sketch stuff for what we're doing, and they'll show us the scene, and it's usually kind of someone like murmur over the dialogue, and then like throwing in a little bit of like oof just because they're having a good time watching it, and you'll be like, okay, I see what you want, and then we record it, and then it's all gravy. But yeah, so sort of. I don't think I've ever seen a finished product beforehand, because they usually are, because the animation takes so long. It's such a huge amount of work that they're usually doing it, as far as I'm aware, right up until the deadline.
Right.
So we end up seeing like
So it's quite conceptual.
Yeah.
What you see.
Yeah. I've voiced stick figures before, who then turn out to be space wolves. Yeah.
Rough storyboarding and
can be, or it can be quite far down the line just because of the way the schedule's gone, and you'll be like, oh, that looks cool. No face, but the rest of it looks really cool. That sort of thing.
And talking of Dawn of War, have you ever done any game voicing for games?
Bits and pieces. I've done I done a bunch of voices for a few different games that all turned out to be mobile games, much to my absolute shame. I can only apologize to the community for my contributions in that vein. But yes.
You weren't the crazy frog, were you? Is that what it was?
No. And I wouldn't tell you if I was.
Would you do longer narration things? I mean, can you see yourself sitting doing 16 hours of narration like Longworth or Keeble, or is it not up your street?
I simulatoriously said at a Blacklight Weekender that someone asked me whether or not I would ever be doing like proper books, narration for books, and I famously said that I hate doing it. I'm not very good at doing it, and if you ever hear me doing it, it's because I've fallen on hard times and I have no other choice.
Okay.
So even if I change my mind now, I can't, for fear of breaking people's hearts.
Also, it's not going to help with my mindfulness if I have to sit here for 16 hours knowing you're
knowing that I'm torturing myself. Yeah. So I can't even turn, because I've said that now publicly, I can't even turn around and be like, actually, I really fancied giving it a go, because no one will believe me. They'll just assume that I'm making the best of a miserable situation. So the answer is no, you'll never hear me doing that, because I don't want to upset people.
We were really excited watching the Pariah Nexus trailer to hear Necrons. Have you had any Necron voicing experience?
Yeah, absolutely. I was a Cryptomancer.
Yeah.
I was a Technarch. I don't know the specific titles for the Necrons, but yes, I've been the guy who like, this is a Necron. It's a Necron bigwig who like traps people in spheres of time.
Trazyn the Infinite.
Favorite.
That's me.
Show friend.
That's me.
In the Hammer and Bolter, is it, or in the Pariah Nexus?
In one of them, but not the other.
Okay.
And I couldn't tell you which one. I can't remember which one, but I played him in one of them.
We are really excited for that. The trailer was brilliant. Them speaking low Gothic English with the neck on. It's just it's just, it looks brilliant.
It's interesting how they develop. Is it harder to kind of get more in tune with a character the further away they get from being human?
No,
that's a question.
it's not.
Easier.
I think it's similar to when you're trying to do an accent that's too close to your own.
Right.
That sometimes like the middle ground is almost the hardest one. So like just not human is a lot harder than both human and completely machine.
That uncanny valley kind of situation.
Yeah, something like that. Because I mean, it's so difficult because especially like what's the difference really between an elf and a human if you're only hearing it? And you have to find a way to make that distinction. But like, it's so much easier to just be a demon. Everyone can quite clearly hear who the demon is in the conversation.
Well, you've heard about this Amazon stuff that's going on, right? That's been all over everything with Henry Cavill. I know you've already kicked shit out of Henry Cavill, so maybe you and him aren't on talking terms anymore.
That bad to him. I let him
But have you been contacted about anything like that? Are you anything that you
No, I have not. Which does not surprise anyone who has heard the story about my agent. The person who just didn't bother to tell me that people were asking for podcasts and interviews.
So this is what you're talking about on Twitter.
Yeah.
Right.
My agent just for however many years it has been, just didn't answer the emails. So they're not my agent anymore.
Wow.
But yeah,
so we emailed you just at the right time then.
Yeah,
Sounds like. So,
but yeah, I mean, like, you know, the door's open. I know that Henry will be holding a grudge. So
so would you, any kind of Warhammer or any kind of live action filming work, you would step back into that live acting role if you could?
A heartbeat for the right role. Yeah. I mean, I'm not. I've had some offers that I was just like no about, but it was the offer, not the job, kind of not the medium, I guess. It was just I'm happy to do good stuff basically, no matter what form it takes. And I'm very lucky that like Games Workshop keeps giving me good things to do. But yeah. The answer is
if you
yes.
had the commissioning power to commission a show for the new Prime world, what would you like to see on there and perhaps be part of?
Ooh, that's an interesting one. I think I would like to see. I think I would. Oh, that's really difficult because he's quite spoilt for choice. And like I know that I'll say one thing and then in 5 minutes I'll be like, no, I was wrong. I want to do the other thing. But I'd love to see a trench in the trenches drama, like waiting for the Tyranids to arrive.
Oh yeah,
that would be really cool. I'd love to follow a commissar, or maybe just the people walking around terrified of a commissar. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you were to say do anything, I would be like, right, well, we're doing an orc road trip then.
Round Gorka Morka or something.
Yeah, maybe some sort of death race. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
Jacaro on board every which way but loose style or something like that.
That works.
Get up off of that thing!
Just thinking we could maybe do a section where we throw a couple of random characters at you and a couple of random situations, and you could see, you could maybe give us what would this guy do in this situation in a voice kind of thing, and then see how we get on there.
Best shot.
But we might have ideas as well, so we're all in it together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Nice,
Let's go
easy
for the first one. Cool.
So easiest voice, surely. The Emperor destroying noobs on Call of Duty.
Oh man, I'm almost certain that the language used there is not fit for. I'm pretty sure the Emperor is old enough to know some very archaic terms.
Yeah.
Like noob, probably. We're probably
Yeah,
way out
yeah,
there.
yeah.
I imagine
Yeah.
if you were playing the Emperor of Call of Duty, you just die in real life.
Yeah.
He's got his reticule on you, and then boom, you're gone.
Your console would come alive and kill you. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, what about a Harlequin discussing Morris dancing?
But what are the bells for?
Oh.
Oh, what are the bells for?
Yeah.
No, I'm serious. What are the bells for? Yeah. Do they need that many handkerchiefs?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's
Why?
leaking? What's leaking that they need that many handkerchiefs?
You need to listen to these Harlequins. These are all valid questions.
Yeah.
Morris dancing.
Yes.
Documentary narrator on the lion waking up.
And as dawn closes on, the dawn opens on yet another day, he is still asleep. Is that no? He slumbers as the sun rolls through the sky. He he continues to slumber. He's awake! Oh my God, he's awake! Something like that.
That is how it will go down. That is how it will go down.
What about a voice that we know you love doing then? Ghazghkull's video application for Scrap Heap Challenge.
Oh my God. Scrap Heap Challenge is a fucking pull.
A very niche audience.
I can't remember how those video things go. Like,
It was usually a bunch of
yeah.
It was usually a bunch of CDT teachers writing in to be like, "Oh, we make engines that run on sunflower oil, and now we're ready to make a walker on land and crush a coconut or something."
Oh, Jesus. Let's see, Ghazghkull. The meanest. You have to like sometimes with these deep voice ones, you have to kind of like step down the staircase to get deeper and deeper and deeper. Like I struggle sometimes to go all the way down in one go. Oh, where were we? Ghazghkull Magthraka. Yeah, so basically, I want to make something big and red and stumpy with everything you've got in your garage.
Fantastic.
That's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, spot on. Okay. All right. Well, last one to round us out. That is James Workshop trying to persuade a chippy to fry something peculiar for him.
Oh God. You know what, actually? I don't think I can do that one.
Oh,
I don't think I'm allowed to. I don't think I'm allowed to.
Yeah.
Oh, no way.
That's
Okay.
fair enough.
Okay,
I think James is the one voice I've been told, like never outside of our shtick.
Okay.
So
all right.
I will just take a moment of silence and let you.
I wonder what he'd be frying.
What would he be frying? We can discuss that.
He'd be frying an
sure.
employee. Let's be clear.
Well, if you're not allowed to reveal that much about James Workshop, you're going to hate this next section then, which is a competition we have where we've all come up with a backstory for James Workshop, and we're going to tell them to you, a 20-second pitch to you of our James Workshop backstories, and you need to tell us which one you think is the best.
I can tell you which one is the closest to the accurate one, because there is one.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
I don't think it's going to be mine.
I don't mind going first.
You go first.
James started out with his own chocolate business, making molds of fantasy characters, sci-fi tanks, and filling them with chocolate. The firm was called James's Workshop. A gingerbread tank kit, jelly spaceman in sci-fi armor, fun foods. Then one day his pot melted on the hob and the metal flowed into the molds. Making the most of a bad situation, the models went up for sale, literally selling like hotcakes, better than the hotcakes, people started buying more models than the canapes. So the first model range was born. But this led to confusion. Everybody thought the firm was called Games Workshop. And years in the business, he is desperately trying to establish the real company name.
Yeah, no, I like that. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. It's completely wrong, but it's very charming.
Right.
Also, if
next
James
version?
accidentally made a metal cake, he would eat it. So
Okay, here's mine then. So the Khan, his unpredictability; Rogel Dawn, his stalwart steadfastness; Fulgrim, his sexy side. Each of the Emperor's sons represent an aspect of his personality, but there are two that are missing, the most important of which is the Emperor's ability as a salesman. That's right, the second Primarch is James Workshop. And after coming up with an idea far better than the Imperial Truth, he was blasted 38,000 years back in time through the warp to sell plastic figures and prepare humanity in advance for the Emperor's rise.
We're getting warmer. We're getting warmer.
Okay. Oh shit! Why maybe
controversially and inflammatorily.
Well, I'm probably way off then with this one. James Wilkinson, aka the Cleaner, after his time in Special Ops for being the country's most double-R spy bastard, was framed for crimes he didn't commit by his ex-lover, the communist spy known only as Lusty Yugoslavia.
Mm-hmm.
She framed him for killing royal swans and doing a poo on the flag, using her renowned Photoshop skills, both things he would never do. James went on the run using his special training, but he couldn't live that way. He needed protection fast. Who had the money, the power, the means to make him disappear? Games Workshop. Gav Thorpe met him with open arms at the door and rushed him inside Warhammer World and took him to Bugman's Bar for a pint and a good deal of plastic surgery. The threat was gone. How can I repay you, Gav? Asked James, sipping a beer through his blooded bandages. You'll think of a way, James, chuckled Gav, or should I say, James Workshop.
And that is eerily close to the actual. The only problem there is obviously James Workshop has a cloaca. So he will just poo on anything.
Oh, fair
so
enough.
It's possible he did go number 2 on the flag, but not intentionally. Just
if there's a flag in his vicinity, there's a 50%
there's
chance
a
he might poo on
there's
it.
a worryingly high. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you remember from the last video, there were a lot of Union Jacks that we had to go through.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then obviously the Gav Thorpe bit, I would never be able to comment on. No, but yeah, like
he'd navigate Gav Thorpe. His ability as a plastic surgeon, or his
I feel uncomfortable talking about Gav Thorpe and also effectively leading a secret life in the same sentence, because it's too close to the bone.
Oh, okay. Oh,
okay.
I thought it was shifty when we spoke to him. I thought he was covering something up.
Yeah, no, he is a very deceptive man. It's lovely. He's lovely, but I'm pretty sure he did. I'm pretty sure he was an actual hitman at one point.
Oh, okay. Gav the Hitman 4. It's all kayfabe? Is that what they call it in wrestling? Is it kayfabe?
Kayfabe, yeah.
Kayfabe, yeah.
Absolutely. No, that's sheep. No, he has killed people.
Damn, it feels good to be a gangster.
What's next for you then, Steve? What are you working on at the moment? Can you tell us what's on the cards?
Yeah, so if I'd been very clever, I would have organized this media blitz to have so that I had actually something to promote. Rather than just coming on and having a nice chat. But yeah, I guess the very next thing on the horizon is I will be debuting in the ring, Schooling Fools.
When you say in the ring, what wrestling federation could we see? Is this beyond?
That is still being worked out, because obviously things got delayed quite significantly. So I'm still talking to a couple of different people to see like exactly what is going to happen. It's not going to be anything huge, yet, but
That's still
but
cool.
yes,
Yeah.
I will be able to, as soon as I know, I will be able to tell people. I guess the only thing I would say is come follow me on Twitter, because we have a laugh. We have a laugh on the old social medias. We do.
Cool. What's your Twitter? Is it at
Stev Pendus? That's me.
Great. Well, thanks for coming by and chatting with us today and
Thank
giving
you
us
for
the
having me,
time.
guys. It's been fun.
Welcome back anytime.
Well, great.
Yo,
Yeah, for sure.
careful.
Every other Friday we're here.
There you go.
Probably do the same.
Very dangerous to make those sort of invitations.
Well, yeah. Thanks very much, and hopefully we'll speak to you again. Wishing you all the best with your wrestling when your hand gets better and everything. Like for sure, got to slam some fools. Have you got a special move lined up? And is it named after? Is it like the Storm Bolter or something like that?
It doesn't have a move. It's just called. It doesn't have a name. It's just called the shotgun clothesline. And I just I hold them up, and then I hit them with my arm very hard, and they don't get up again. And I mean,
Can't say fairer than that.
well, you know what I mean. I feel like, why overcomplicate it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, good
Fantastic.
stuff. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you for
Thank
your
you
time.
very much, guys.
Yeah, thanks
Cheers.
for coming on.
Well, strike a light, ladies and gentlemen. There we have it. The definitive interview with Mr. Steve Conlin. We're sorry we couldn't tell you about what happened with the Emperor question, but we're going to have to take that with us to our graves, which may be sooner than we think if we tell secrets like that and Games Workshop send their hitman Gav Thorpe after us. A lot to think about. From all of us here at the Large Blast Podcast, thanks very much. We'll see you next time. Bye.